Put a bit more reflection. I think we had two things that messed us up in that first round. One was not having had my second cup of coffee yet. That was clearly a punt. Two, I think I got a little bit of Nissa fever. I remember when we went to the pre-release, I went with my fiance, and we actually met in the finals, which was pretty awesome. And she showed me her pool after she had built, and there was a Chandra in the pool. And my first thought was, how are you not playing Chandra? And she was like, well, I just don't have the red cards to support it. And I don't think that's the most powerful build. And then she continued to crush face as she played through the matches. Sometimes you open a Planeswalker and you can't play it. That's something I know, but it's kind of difficult to justify as you're looking at it, potentially living in your sideboard. But I think it was the right call here, and something that I'm going to want to remember for future sealed events. Anyway, we'll be back for the next round in just a second. Random thoughts with Travis. All right, here we go. I have found that I want to play first in this format, even with decks that don't necessarily want to play first. Because there are very aggressive decks in the format. Like, this hand looks very aggressive. We're certainly going to keep this. We get to Curve Invoker into Scythe Master into Shoulder to Shoulder. That's what I had in mind when we built this deck. Was a start like this. Now, obviously, this is kind of a nut draw, but I'll take it. I don't mind missing on the tap land this turn. I'm going to go ahead and attack first and then play the Scythe Master. It's possible they've got a removal spell or something, but we'll see what they got going on there. Wall of Resurgence, eh? It is pretty good. We could attack this turn without the Shoulder to Shoulder and then get the allied reinforcements down, which might be a little better in that I can make the tokens 3/3s and I don't mind trading one of them with the land. And then I've still got this land to hit next turn. That would draw us into the Oblivion Sower. So I think I like actually hitting for 2 here and getting the allied reinforcements down. That puts a lot of pressure on my opponent. And because there's now a 0/6 in play, getting this to a 4-power creature isn't super relevant. And if I'm going to have one of the 2/2s that can't attack, I actually like it being the Invoker. Because that one gets value the later the game goes, whereas the night tokens don't. We could also consider double blocking the Unknown Shores if he goes in with it, but I think this is a racing hand. Elemental Uprising is interesting too, but I'm going with Shoulder to Shoulder first. We could draw another land and want to play the Uprising. We could also draw the Outnumber. I'm going to use the green because I think if I draw another land, I still want to play the Timber Gorge so we can play the Sower next turn. And I can't draw another tap land. I could draw that, but we still want to get the Timber Gorge down. So let's go in with the dudes that can attack. It is so amazing what turning a 2/2 into a 3/3 can do. This is what this deck wanted to do. Okay, you got me. We've still got great attacks next turn and an Oblivion Sower coming up. Well, we don't have good attacks anymore. So this is 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Looks like we can force in 2 points of damage here, but I'm not convinced that's great. I think we just go for the Sour. What do we get? What do we get? What do we get? We got a forest. We milled a Mighty Leap, a Negator, and a Lantern. I'll take your land. And we'll leave the rest in exile there for you. Downside is that can pretty easily get removed, like Isolation Zone does it. There's plenty of cards that kill something like this. We're not just dead, though. And we're actually in a good board position now. He has to have something to kill this. That's not a bad draw for him. Outnumber would be pretty good for us here. Something to get rid of this idiot would help. So I can kind of spam, I can play an Elemental Uprising, and then he has to block that. And then let's say he eats a 3/3. I mean, he could block it there. That's fine too, and block this. So he's at least taking 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then spamming the board may be our best shot. I don't think I hate that. Because let's say he blocks here and trades, which would be the worst for me. Because then he'll have his other stuff back to block next turn. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're still a land off from activating this. Then he only takes 5 going to 8. And that probably makes him at least hold back. But like your options against this are kind of race or don't. It's just a matter of whether I want the Uprising this turn or not. It's kind of like a Lava Axe because he has to block it. This wall is really messing up my Elemental Uprising plans. The other option is try to draw into a Planar Outburst, which we could cast with the Unknown Shores. Yeah, I think I actually go for it. I'm going to attack him with his own land because that seems funny to me. And then we'll just play our 2 dudes. Alright, he's going for the take the damage plan, but it doesn't work because you've got to block this guy. He must be blocked. It's your own land and you have to block it. Opponent's comfortable going to 3. Which I'm certainly comfortable with as well. That means a lot of these guys are gonna be lethal. Mainly what we're trying to do here is put him in a position where he either can't attack with the Skulker and continue to draw cards. Like this means he's probably got a creature, but it would make Outnumber lethal. Like he slams a big thing, we outnumber it, we've got enough attackers to swarm through for the extra damage. This guy can start attacking soon as essentially a 7/7. Oh, that's a good play. This makes me wish there was a slip through space in the deck or something. That's fine too. 1 block, 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 block. Okay. So we need something that could, I don't know, do something like pump our team, for example. or make extra creatures. So if I play Nissa and pump, don't all of his blocks get worse? Because he's obliged to block my stuff. This guy can still eat the 2/1. But it means I can attack here, he can block that. He doesn't really have good blocks for the Oblivion Sower besides chumping. The Castigator gets in. The Scythe Master gets in. Nobody else gets in. But they at least get a little bigger. I mean, I'm going to do it. Because here we are. I still don't know if I want to let him eat something, because he only gets to eat one thing, and he eats this. And then it's chump. This is going to be a chump unless he blocks it there. And he could trade this for one of those. So I think my best attack, I think, is like this. Like it's an easy block for him to trade off one of those, and that's fine. We can let him make that trade. I do want to pressure that life total, though. He can't double block something if I swing with the team, though. 6 plus 4 is 10. Yeah, he's got me dead on the crackback if I don't force chumps. So if I attack with the team, what do his blocks look like? Potentially eat this. Chump this with a 2/2. Block this guy. Trade off, trade off. That's not actually good for us. So that means these are my attacks. We got to get some of his guys off the board because they're starting to pose problems. So we're at least getting a chump out of this. Probably getting rid of these 2 guys here. That's all this attack actually does, isn't it? It gets these 2 off the board at the expense of our Castigator. Which I guess we take. But Nissa actually wasn't as good a draw as I thought it was, given the presence of these 2/2s. So if we'd attacked with the other 2, he just eats this one and trades. Which I'm not convinced is great for us. I mean, having him at 3 is still good. It questions whether or not he can attack, and the Oran Reef Invoker is deadly soon. Also, Planar Outburst is still in the deck, but I don't think we'd want to cast it at this point. World Breaker, you say? I kind of feel like you just broke my world. Yeah. Okay, so we had plans. And now we don't have plans. He is taking out Nissa. So at least he doesn't get to draw a card, I guess. Yay, land. Oddly enough, we'd have a pretty good attack if he hadn't done that. But since he did, we don't. Alright, we're just going to take terrible bad beats in the air. It's wise of him not to attack with the Sky Climber at the life total he's at. This puts us damn close to dead. I definitely think I like the blue deck better against this. But we shall see. I think I like the blue deck better in general. Well, we got a Spawnbinder Mage too. Which will run out there. But that wall stops too much here. He looks like he might be weak to flyers, with the exception of his Cyclone Sire. And that allied reinforcements was pretty clutch. Stop casting more things. And a Stormcrow? And an Ondu War Cleric? You've got all the guys! Why do you have all the guys? Alright, Planar Outburst one time. He has spilled his hand. He's at 13 life. We need Planar Outburst off the top right now. I don't think there's any way for us to get in all of the damages, and there's certainly not a way for us to survive, right? That's 6, 7, 13 in the air. Well, 11 in the air. We're at 8. And like something else is going to get through unblocked. So this feels like Scooperino. Probably just wasting time by continuing to think about it. I don't mind showing him this since we're going to side out of this deck anyway. So like him being prepared for one particular common in my deck. Alright, so we can attack with everything and tap one of his blockers. Again, it doesn't actually do anything. He will end of turn tap my Oblivion Sower. So I think we just attack with the team, tap his wall, and see what happens. It's not going to be good. Pro tip, but makes him think about blocking. Mist Intruder, jump in front of the bus. Nom 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 nom. We traded 3 of our dudes for Mist Intruder. That seems fair. I think I like the blue deck, and I think I probably want the counterspell too. Like having Crush as well as Planar Outburst seems like a real benefit to me. So let's get that loaded up again. I think this was the correct build anyway. I kind of want the Void Shatter. I don't want the Dispel. His deck was mostly creatures. Sweep Away is decent against that. Sheer Drop's good against that. The Rampart's good against that. The Alpha Protector is actually not unreasonable, but a lot of his power came from the air. That kind of makes the Crab a little worse, and that we've already got dirtily ground things. I need to be able to deal with his World Breaker, and that may mean that we need to consider trying to get Oblivion Strike in here, maybe even Witness the End, although that's a little much for me. I don't want to run Mana Confluence in a control-ish deck. And I don't want to make my mana terrible. But I kind of think I may have to if we're going to pull this off. Yeah, let's cut Unity of Purpose then for comparative analysis, and let's get 1 Oblivion Strike in here, so I've just got 1 out. If these games go super grindy, we can do that. And the only way to get it in here is to cut a Plains for a swamp. And then we essentially have to count the card draw as mana fixing. So we're splashing it off of a swamp and an Unknown Shores. And I might should be cutting the island. I don't know. It's tough. Because that, I mean, it makes Void Shatter impossible to cast. Our mana base is bad here. I could also consider cutting the Seer's Lantern, but I feel like that's a way for us to get in there. Could cut comparative analysis and get another Plains in there. Just run 18 lands. That's not absurd. That's not absurd. We'll try that. Because I want to have something in the deck that can answer that. And going on the plains, on the play, I don't mind having an extra land. All right, perfect mana, can't lose. We keep. This isn't exactly coming out blazing fast, but we can draw things and stuff, play cards. You know how we do. Play that just in case we want to have the Void Shatter ready to go for next turn. Okay. We can pseudo answer that. I think we would go Spawnbinder Mage into Allied Reinforcements first. Alright, that is a Vigilant dude. Kind of a neat combo there. Looks like our opponent's a little hurt on the mana side of things. So this Clutch of Currents could be good. We could play it and get in an attack with it. That puts him pretty far back. Especially if we're planning on if we're planning on Rolling Waters in the future too, but I think I actually like the Allied Reinforcements. Tap this end of turn and then untap and clutch that or whatever he plays, and that gets us in a pretty big amount of damage. It also lets us cast a white spell while we're stuck on white mana. So I think I like all of these things. Now, it's not putting him under a colossal amount of pressure because he is still gaining life off of this Idjit, but gain that life, buddy. Alright, so we're at 6. We're going to have 7 next turn, so I think I like Clutch attack and then Rolling Waters attack. Like, yeah, he could have a removal spell for a thing, but this sets him pretty far behind. And I think I like bouncing the Cleric more than anything else. If he kills my Spawnbinder Mage, then this is holding back the tokens. But since we're going to bounce it anyway, there's an argument for cast it because it makes him use all of his mana, but this means he's not gaining any life. Plus, if this is all he's got next turn, we can potentially tap it and swing past it for 2. Like, this only puts him to 17 because he's gained so much life, but it's not a bad swing, especially when we're following it up with the Rolling Waters. Okay, you got me. So no Rolling Waters next turn. That's a shame. I still think we go for that there. Like, the way this hand developed, it's probably the right way to go. We will sweep that away when he attacks with it. We could just sweep it away here if we wanted to be jerks, but alright, so that's 6 mana, which is not 7. I mean, we could just bounce it and hit for 6, but I don't think that really does a lot. I think we just pass, try to sweep that away when he attacks. What does that do for me? If we do this, we hit for 6 and then another 6, and we restock our cards. Like, I don't have to put it on top of his library. That's 12 damage. How are we getting through the last 8? Probably by keeping the pressure up using the Spawnbinder Mage. Like, the only downside is if he can cast 2 things next turn, but I don't think he can. He'd have to draw them. I think we go in and we bounce this guy. Like, even if he does cast 2 things, there's the potential that he it still attacks with this, and then we Rolling Waters it. Like, he's got more cards than us in hand. Our game plan has to be to clear the way. Like, if that's the entirety of his play, we bounce this guy and swing team. Actually, we bounce 2 guys and swing team, so we'd bounce this and that and go for it. Let us refuel. Sweet. All the lands. It's not actually what we wanted, but it does at least get it out of the way. Now, presumably we can finish with a flyer. Oh, gods. Oh, we could do that. One, two, three, four, five. That would give me a 4/4. And I hit for 4 this turn, which would put him to 6. I think that means I pre-combat tap this. Like, this works, right? I'd need 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 3. So I don't actually get an attack this turn. So I may want to wait until next turn to do it. That means he's going to gain 2 more life, but he has time to deploy some more threats. If I could attack with it this turn, I think I would do it, but since I can't, we'll pass. I mean, the obvious downside is he plays the Cyclone Sire. He gets to awaken a land when it dies. My land's bigger. Like, this is him gaining a crap ton of life here. But if he just plays out 2 dudes, okay, those 2 dudes, we can take that. Let's tap this guy. See if he uses it in response. He probably will. So we know he's got Cyclone Sire in hand. The Rampart isn't exactly a good answer to that. But I think I take this. At this point, it's what? A 3 for 5? If I wait, he's just going to cast the Cyclone Sire. So this gets rid of 2 War Clerics, a bunch of annoying allies, and puts him to 10. We'll need some more action, but we could draw it. Like, that doesn't stop it. That plus a combat trick does, but we'll still have the Channeler. No combat trick? Okay. That may mean he has other awakened shenanigans, but I'm just going to play the stuff. Not super thrilled about the ramparts, but I mean, it can block, I suppose. We've got 2 4/4s to attack with next turn. If he slams the World Breaker and exiles the plains, we're in kind of rough shape. Wall of Resurgence is a thing you could do. I don't think he can swing with it, but maybe he thinks he can. His wall was better than mine, I'll give him that. So now we're at the point where we might want to just Oblivion Strike that. I suppose this is a 10-turn clock. So it might be a thing we want to do. We'll see. I'm a little scared of him getting his scry on. I suppose this one worked out in such a way where we had to use a lot of our bounce where we weren't getting in a lot of damage. Those Undo War Clerics are actually amazing cards. We could use a flyer now. We could use a flyer now. That lets us attack with our 4/4s. Which I think is one of our few ways to win the game. Like we swing with these, he blocks 1, he takes 4 going to 5. Like we're close to dead. Let's not forget that, because we're taking 8, 9, 10, 11. But one of the few ways we could actually get out of it is drawing an Oblivion Strike for a blocker next turn, potentially. So I guess we do the thing. If he wants to bring the beats, I'll play that game. Got a Undo Mediocre Horn, which I think has actually gotten better. I wouldn't say it's great in this format, but it's gotten better than it was in Triple BFZ for sure. For sure. And so he can play a thing, draw a card. He's got a bazillion options here. And I think we're down to basically just Oblivion Strike. Did I miscalculate and we're dead? I guess we're dead if he has Mighty Leap. But it's just that no, Mighty Leap doesn't even kill us. We just go to 3. Well, that's that would have been useful a turn ago. It gives me a chump blocker, which isn't enough. So we swing team. He blocks everything. We lose. So I can play the Negator and chump that when he swings back. Like none of his important guys have to die this turn. Or do they? Or do they? So what does his blocks look like? Block here. Block here. Take 3, go to 1. I don't know if I'd be safe, but like going to 1 seems really scary to me. But all of our decisions have been made. We have to attack. Because we may get in a situation where we can chump block this and actually get out of this. And I think he's put us in a position to do that with these blocks. So if he whiffs and we chump block the land or keep him from attacking, we're in decent shape, right? Like if he doesn't jump it, we'll just chump it with the wall. And if he does, we'll chump it with the negator, take 2, go to 1. Admittedly, it's not good for us that he's drawing cards, and I wish I had that dissipate variant in my hand right now, but I don't. So we shall do what we can. Alright, I like seeing land. I don't like him casting something giant. Deep Fathom Skulker. Alright. Deep Fathom Chumper. Am I right? We're dang close to winning this. I don't think we had him dead on that turn, because I attack and I jump one of the 4/4s. He chumps the 4/4. Let's say swing team. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4 blockers, 1, 2, 3, 4 attackers. He had another turn, I think, right? I jump the 4/4, he chumps it. He takes 3. And then what are his other blocks? Like, I don't attack with anything else because things just get eaten. And then he can potentially swing back and draw cards, and I'm just drawing air. I guess he has to answer the Benthic Infiltrator next turn or it kills him. So he's in a position of having to answer both of these. The problem is I'm at 3. So I'd have this tapped, that tapped, potentially, and this. So I'd have 1, 2, 3 blockers. And he's still got a 6/6 and a 4/4. Target creature can't be blocked this turn. So I think all he has to do is keep this and this alive. Make this not able to be blocked, and he kills me. Am I doing that wrong? Like, I do want a sideboard, but I want to make sure I've got this correct. Like, we attack here, here, and here. Give this flying. Attacking with the other two doesn't do anything, because he'll just block him with the wall. So he chumps this. He takes 2, 3. Then he makes this unblockable and kills me. Yeah, okay. That was indeed a premature scoop. So I still think I like our game plan. I think it didn't work out quite as well as we would have liked there. But it wasn't unreasonable. We just ideally are going to get some creatures down before we start doing all those tempo plays. His flyers are better than ours. That wall is actually really annoying. But I think it punishes this deck less than it punishes the other one. I still wouldn't hate splashing for Witness the End, because I think that would be good against him. I can't quite get the mana in there. I'd have to play the Mana Confluence, and that seems really bad. Like, if we'd used it in that game, we would have lost even if he hadn't seen the line. I don't think I want Dispel. I don't think I want to side into black. I could see cutting one shoulder to shoulder for it, but again, I'm not sure how I make the mana work. I don't think I can make the mana work. And we could get greedy and just take out a plains for a swamp and say, all right, maybe we'll get there. Yeah, on the draw, I want to do it. I've talked myself into it. Ah, I didn't take anything out. We have submitted a 42 card deck. I thought too long. It was all part of my plan. It was all part of my plan. We can keep this. It's defensive. And we've made sure that we're not going to get decked. I thought I had more time there. I think I spent too long thinking about the end of that game. Okay, Travis has learned a lesson. Recording draft videos in the morning can be a little bit hazardous to your health. You should get up, run around a little bit first. Okay, so we at least get to sweep away that and then hopefully hit a land. I am going to sweep it away because we don't have any more plays. We're also down to 7 minutes, so I got to play a little faster here. So let's do that. And stop thinking so dang much. Just play the game. Three, 4. All right. And then we draw the counter spell. Lovely. We're probably priced into countering most of what he plays here, which is a shame because we brought this in for specific threats. Okay, I will counter that. It's obviously not as good as us getting to counter this guy, but here we are. I can clutch it and get in for 2, or I can just play our own Ghostly Sentinel, which he may not want to trade damage. I can also get the Channeler out, which means we could crush relatively quickly, and I think I like that idea. Because that gives us, there's the mana for the crush, and we can clutch one of his dudes first. Like, that's obviously not ideal, but I mean, unfortunately he does get to draw a card here, but so I could Containment Membrane that and swing, but I still think I like the crush plan. Like, that's 5 mana. We untap with an 8/8. Then we start Containment Membraning his dudes. I mean, that's probably what we do. If I'm going to do it that way, I may as well hit him for 2 first. We can't do anything with that extra mana, but alright. He's like a bounce spell away from being in control of this game, but normally I'd want to get the Sentinel going, and it may still be the best play. Oh gods, I definitely want it now, because if we can do that, we are in business. Like, how's that for a turn? That puts him at 8. He's probably going to play the Skulker and attack in. We Rolling Waters his dudes, and he's at least on the chump plan. No? You're on the have a different plan? I don't know what his plan was, but I'm still going to try this. I assume it involved blocking. All right, sweeping away is a thing you could have. Still didn't hit a land. That's interesting. We've got to win this relatively quick. Don't you slam that World Breaker. Don't you do it. Stop it. Stop it right now. Alright, so can I cast 2 things this turn? I can cast this and then surge out the Avenger, which may not be the best play, but I'm starting to run out of time. So I think we just need to get the most stuff done that we can. That potentially makes a shoulder to shoulder able to let this guy attack through. So we kind of need him to whiff on the World Breaker for another turn. And then we can potentially attack. All right, you have the Skulker. We're aware of that. We've got Containment Membrane for that shenanigans. I've also got Planar Outburst if we have to, but I don't think I want to live in a world where Planar Outburst is a game plan for us. All right, we can potentially witness the end here, but I think I like Shoulder to Shoulder, get deeps through. So let's try that here and here. Ramparts is okay, but not great. I think that means we send with the Flyers. He's obliged to block one of them. Then we can cast the Ghostly Sentinel. We take 7, 8, 9. That's not dead. And we've got a bunch of Flyers coming at him. I also don't hate the Containment Membrane, the Cyclone Sire. Just get through the triggers. No triggers. We got 3 minutes. That's not so much that I have to go into super panic mode. Okay. Reproach is a card you could have. That means you're only taking 3. So if we can get him to 2, then the Witness the End is lethal. That means I probably do want the Sentinel. The problem is I want the Sentinel and the Containment Membrane, and I can't get both. But I can cast the Containment Membrane here, cast the Spawnbinder Mage, and then launch it with the colorless mana, get in 2 points of damage at the very least. Or maybe encourage him to trade that for this guy. We could also draw an ally. Like, there's a lot of things we can do here. We got to stop him before that War Cleric gets us. I think if we draw our colorless land, he's just dead. All right, you get a card. It's unfortunate, but you got it. So essentially have to win this turn. I can Planar Outburst after, which is not terrible. I don't have an ally to tap his guy. I can't overload this. So I think our only plan is to swing in. There's no way he would chump block this instead of that. He may just decide to go to 2, but that seems really unlikely. I don't have a whole lot of time to think about it, especially if we're going to outburst. So I think I like just attacking here. Maybe he's got a removal spell. Maybe he just takes the 3. Like, if he takes the 3, we're in great shape. I don't think he does. But again, if he takes it, we can just win. If he doesn't, we'll have other options. Okay, he's got a Mighty Leap. That's fine. I think that means we go for the outburst plan. Which leaves him with 2 cards. We play the Ghostly Sentinel and then try to finish him with the Witness the End. Like we can play the ramparts next turn to block that, so that's not like the end of the world. I guess we are like totally screwed to that wall, huh? Or him just spamming out a bunch of dudes. So do I have a line that gets me out of this? We play the wall, we block that, we play this guy, we block that, and we're dead. Travis. Early morning sealed decks. I'm going to be interested to go back and watch this particular video, because anytime when I end a game and I've got less than a minute left on the clock, I feel like I could have done something differently. Like I guess he had to have something there, but no, he could have attacked with the land too. All right. So we've got one more round. Let's see if we can at least 1-2 this thing. I'm not sure if it was the deck build or the play that messed us up there, but either way, you can't win them all. So I'd rather get the variance out of the way here instead of at a PT cube. But thanks for tuning in, folks. We'll see you for the finals in just a moment.